Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into week 4 of the From Pressure to Peace devotional. We've covered a ton of ground already, but this specific section, it's all about making that huge leap from anxious striving to a truly settled, quiet confidence. Let's get right into it. So, let me ask you something right off the bat. Are you just exhausted from constantly trying to prove your worth? We're talking about that heavy, unspoken pressure so many of us drag around every single day, that endless, exhausting loop of performing just to get a little bit of approval. If you're nodding along right now feeling like you have to earn your place, your rest, and your validation every day, well, you are exactly who this week's material is for. Part 1. Worth Before Work. Stepping off the performance treadmill. This is a massive paradigm shift. Day 22 challenges the whole foundation of why we overperform. We usually run on this old mindset that our worth is strictly earned by what we produce. But the text points out this incredible biblical precedent. Think about it. Before Jesus ever preached a single sermon or performed one miracle, he was declared the beloved Son by the Father. His true worth was established before he did any work at all. And the same goes for you. Your worth absolutely precedes your work. To make this a bit more concrete, the text shares a really powerful modern echo. It talks about a highly successful 47-year-old leader who had this sudden realization. She realized that her entire career, literally every promotion, every time she said an extra yes, was driven by a question she'd been secretly asking since she was in 3rd grade. Am I enough yet? Then, one Sunday, she finally just laid down on her couch and rested. No earning at first. Just rest. And in that quiet stillness, it hit her. She was always enough. She had just kept forgetting. And that brings us to the absolute heart of day 22. Your worth isn't tied to validation. You can finally let go of this desperate need to prove yourself to everybody around you. Your worth is not some hourly wage you have to scrape together from your boss or your family or your peers. It's a gift, and it's already been given to you. So take a second and really let this question sink in. Whose approval have you been quietly performing for? Is it your manager, maybe a parent, a friend? Figuring out exactly who is standing on the other side of your performance treadmill is the very first step to finally stepping off of it. Part 2. Stepping out of the ring. Releasing the need to fight. We so often think that defending ourselves is the ultimate sign of strength. But days 23 and 24 completely flip that script. Look at this story from the devotional about a woman who was falsely accused at work. The text argues that stepping back isn't weakness at all. It's actually a profound form of spiritual protection and trust. Every instinct she had was probably screaming at her to launch a counterattack and defend her name. Instead, she took 3 incredibly hard steps. 1, she went home. 2, she prayed. And 3, she waited. And you know what happened? 3 weeks later, the truth surfaced completely on its own, through a coworker she hadn't even spoken to. This is the beautiful core of day 23. You don't have to fight every battle. Letting God be your defender means you actually get to keep your precious energy and your peace. You don't have to jump at every single provocation. You don't have to have the last word. You can just be still. So, what battle are you fighting right now that you could simply lay down? Think about those stressful mental arguments you're having in the shower or while you're stuck in traffic. What would actually happen if you just dropped the rope? Hold on to that thought, because we're going to pivot into another crucial way to protect your calling. Part 3. The wisdom of boundaries. Guarding your heart and your calling. Now, not fighting every battle also means knowing exactly what to keep out. Day 24 looks at the biblical story of Nehemiah. When he was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, his critics constantly badgered him to stop and meet with them. But he essentially just said, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. Just like the modern example of a woman who finally started saying no to exhausting requests and ended up deepening her true relationships in the process. Boundaries protect what actually matters. They aren't there to build a wall against people. They build a wall around your calling. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It's wise. You are absolutely allowed to protect your energy. This is a massive takeaway from the material. Trying to keep the peace with everyone else shouldn't mean totally sacrificing your own inner peace. Setting a boundary is just acknowledging your own human limits. And honoring those limits, well, that's just profound wisdom. Which brings us here. What yes has been costing you lately that really needs to become a no? What obligation are you resentfully agreeing to? Where is all your energy leaking out? Identifying that yes is exactly how we transition out of this constant defense mode and move into the actual restoration of your soul. Part 4. Finding lightness again. The return of joy. When we finally set down those heavy burdens of performance and establish some real boundaries, something kind of miraculous happens in day 27. A sense of lightness naturally begins to return. The text brings up Sarah from Scripture, who laughed in pure wonder after decades of waiting. It's exactly like the modern story in the book about a grieving woman who felt incredibly guilty because she laughed genuinely for the first time in 8 months. But then she realized a vital truth. Joy and grief can actually coexist. Finding your joy again isn't a betrayal of the hard times you've been through. It's just evidence that you're healing. To help you actually practice this lightness, the source material points us towards some fantastic musical tools from Jennifer's YouTube channel to act as your daily companion in song. Think of tracks like The Little Things, which helps anchor you in everyday gratitude, or The Joy of the Lord is My Strength, which reminds us that we don't need a perfectly resolved life just to feel joy. And dedicating time for reset mode, specifically finding peace in the morning, gives you that quiet space to let these truths really sink in. This captures the whole essence of day 27 right here. Joy can exist, even here. You don't need a picture-perfect life, a totally completed to-do list, or absolute certainty about your future to experience joy. It can exist right here, right now, right in the middle of whatever crazy thing you're going through. So where can you make a little space for joy this week? Think about just one small thing that brings you a sense of lightness. Maybe it's a quiet cup of coffee before the house wakes up, listening to a soul-restoring song, or even just taking a short walk. Keep that in mind as we head into our final destination for week 4. Part 5. A soul at rest. The final destination. This is where all that releasing and boundary setting finally leads us in day 28. We arrive at a place of true, settled rest. The text has this spot-on modern echo describing a professional woman who just stopped justifying every single decision she made in her meetings. She didn't do it to be arrogant, but out of a settled, quiet confidence. And what she found was amazing. Her silence actually made people trust her way more. Her work and her identity completely spoke for themselves. Because confidence doesn't need to be loud to be strong. True strength is quiet. It's enduring. It's deeply rooted in the knowledge that you are being held by God. And that realization, it completely frees you from the loud, frantic anxiety of constantly having to prove yourself to a room full of people. And here is our final takeaway, wrapping up our explainer today. Quiet confidence is the rhythm of a soul at rest. When you deeply know that your worth precedes your work, when you let go of the battles that aren't yours to fight, and when you fiercely protect your calling, your soul can finally find its unhurried rhythm. You transition fully from pressure to peace. So, are you ready to stop explaining and start trusting? I want to leave you with this provocative thought to carry with you today. Take a deep breath, lay down the need to constantly prove yourself, and may you step into your week with the quiet, unshakable confidence of a soul perfectly at rest.